Irene, thank you very much for joining us on World Suicide Prevention Day. Very generous of you to agree to share your insights on coping. And I just wonder, would you introduce yourself to everybody and tell us a little bit about yourself and your background, please?
Sure. Hi, Mags, and thank you so much for asking me to be involved in it. It's an absolute pleasure to help, and such a worthy cause. Yeah, it's brilliant. So my name is Irene Treacy. I am a Parkinson's and a neuro-coach. So I work mainly with people with neurological conditions like Parkinson's, MS, mainly older people, but also a lot of younger people are getting a lot of neurological diseases now, um, and apathy and depression and anxiety would be a big part of it. So I do work with a lot of people who suffer from that. So yeah, if I can give any help and suggestions in any way, I'd be delighted to.
And thank you very much, Irene. And I know, having worked with you in your professional capacity, that you do have a lot of insights in that area. I remember you and I both have a thing about the winter days. Neither of us like them. And we did a winter where we got up at the crack of dawn to do some smoothies to help us get started on the day. And I have to say that was probably one of my easiest winters. So from a personal perspective, I know that your methods certainly work. So tell us a little bit maybe around how, how you would manage as we're going into the longer, darker days in the middle of a pandemic.
Sure. Well, from a personal perspective, not even like working with my clients, I definitely, and for years I've been saying it, have suffered with SADS disease. And normally it's when the dark mornings, the early nights come in, and just the darkness I really, really don't like. And I would try to feel dark with it. And I used to, like in my previous life, so we used to own a hotel and 3 pubs, and I was very much around the nightlife side of it. So would have kept kind of odd hours and socialized a lot, drank a lot, would have had kind of darkness in my life. But then we lost it all with the recession, and my mother died of a stroke at the same time, and it was just a lot came on. So I did feel a lot of anxiety myself. So my way of coping it, which I wouldn't suggest, was drinking. I would say that's the biggest thing not to do. One of the biggest things. If you are feeling anxiety or you're not happy, a good detox mentally and physically is a great way to start. So I would start by that. And then I would start by breaking things down and really looking at what is that's making you feel anxious, because we all have different thoughts and different feelings, and different things will trigger something, So a tool that I like to use with my clients at work, and what I do myself, is I work out a wheel of life. And I just did one up for just an example for this one. Like, this is my one that I do. Like, so that's the August one, but I just did up this one here. And I put this in my room. So I look at this every morning when I get up. So we can put in a link to a little video for how to do it afterwards. But it's a wheel of life where you break it down into different sections, that matter to you. So you have your fun, recreation, spirituality, personal growth, home, family, friends, health, finance, and work. And you work out on 1 to 10, scale of 1 to 10, where you are in that. And the idea is that the wheel should go around. And you can see here it's off balance in fun and recreation. It's off balance in health. It's off balance in work. So you can pick different things that you want to work at. So I would say, especially if it is, especially if it is, you're feeling anxious, it's normally something very personal to you. So break it down, what it is that is upsetting you, or what has you feeling like this. So, you can focus on your health, your finance, and your family, friends. And with our health, I find, and a lot of my clients would be the same, we leave things go to the last. We put it in the back burner. We put it on the long finger. We don't let things happen. We don't deal with things as they come up. So look at it. Work out 3 sections that you want to work on, and then pick goals. Break it down really, really easily. So break it down and make, they're called like SMART goals, that they're specific, you know exactly what they are, that they're measurable, that they're achievable. Don't do big goals that you can't, you know, manage. Achievable goals, that they're relevant for you, and set a time frame in them. And just break it
Yeah.
down very easy, that they're achievable. And even like doing to-do lists. So when you tick off those jobs that you've done, they actually release a neurotransmitter in your mind. It's called dopamine. So it releases a sense of achievement, a sense of fulfillment, and that brings you towards your next step.
Okay.
You know, so it breaks it down. Yeah.
Okay. And that you mentioned that there's an online resource where people can get that wheel of life. Will you give me
I'll give it to
the
you.
details for that so that I can share it with this information? That'd be great, Irene.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And just go through each segment and have a think of it, and see what you want to work with. And what I do is I put that up every month, and I only work at 3 things. You might look at your wheel and you might have only like 1 or 2 or 3 segments in each that are like only point 1, 2, or 3, and you want to get to 10. You're not going to get all 10 in a month. But even if you could bring up 1 or 2 segments per month, you'll see that you're growing and that you're making strides. Because often we feel, and I know I felt like that for a few years, I wasn't moving anywhere. It was just time was moving by, and I was kind of, I felt stagnant. I felt stuck. You know,
Yes.
I made I made a big change. I left home. I left Washford and I moved to Lanzarote. I made a big drastic change. I had to make big changes in my life. You know, I gave up drink for a couple of years, and then when I start working with Parkinson's and with different groups, I do a lot of volunteering, and I think that's a really great thing to do. You know, just volunteer, even like pick an older neighbor, help somebody. Just when you're helping somebody, it just makes you feel better. It takes stress off your own worries, and I find that a really great thing to do.
Yeah, because you're putting your energy into helping somebody else, and that means that it frees up time in your head.
Yeah,
It's like that episode of Friends. Do you remember that one where Joey was telling Phoebe there was no such thing as a truly good deed? Um, or was it Phoebe telling Joey? Whatever way around it was.
yeah,
And the whole argument was there is no such thing as a good deed because you will always get the reward from doing the good deed. And that was
yeah,
the whole argument in it.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, no,
Oh,
that
unreal. Even during the COVID, you know, I have like an elderly neighbour, and I call into her every day. Now, there was a couple of people calling into her. I hardly ever had to do anything, but she was just so happy to see me. So I just call into her now anyway, which I wouldn't have done before. It was only hello. Now we have a
yes.
lovely little friendship, and you just feel so good for it, you know. So yeah, it's a good tip.
And no, that's great. And is there any other go-to tool that you use, Irene, to
Yeah, absolutely. One thing that I bring into all of my coaching is gratitude.
okay.
Gratitude, again, is another way where it's scientifically proven to release serotonin and dopamine in your brain. And again, these are neurotransmitters that help you to increase your motivation, but also help you to feel that you move better. It sends signals in your brain that you can actually move better. And sometimes, you know, if you're feeling anxious or nervous or depressed, you just can't move as fluid and as good. So when you write what you're grateful for, it releases the serotonin. And when you really practice it and feel it, so it's not just writing it, it's really feeling it, that it releases these dopamine neurotransmitters that make you feel better and make you move better. You know, and when you have your bad days then, like, because everybody gets bad days. Not every day is going to be like a day in Alice in Wonderland or whatever. So if you're just writing down a couple of things you're grateful for on those bad days, then when sometimes you just can't think what you're grateful for. You know, sometimes you're just like, why me? And you get into this kind of dark space. You go back over your gratitude journal, and the smallest things, you look back and go, you remember how that made you feel. You know, you like, it could be like that a friend called in to see you for a chat. It could be you went to a friend. It could be somebody sent you a card, whatever it is. That feeling of it, and really get into your feelings. Really, really get into your feelings. And another thing that I really, it's so great, and until I really practice it myself, I couldn't see the logic, and I couldn't, it was always, oh, that's not for me. Meditation. I always thought meditation was very woo-woo, you know, it's like, oh, it's just for healthy people, you know, that's not for me. And once I actually got into meditation, I couldn't believe it. And I did I'm a yoga teacher, and did my yoga teacher training first. Meditation was part of it, and I was like, not sure now about this part. But I was so engrossed in it and really couldn't believe, after a few minutes of just relaxing my mind, and just getting out, like almost like an out of body experience of going, wow, that if that's possible, let me go back in and see what I can do about other things, you know, because we can achieve so much more than we give ourselves credit for, especially if we're feeling down. One of the other things would be like to change your mindset, change your thoughts from negative to positive. And that might sound very, you know, oh yeah, that's easy for you to say, kind of a thing, if you're not understanding it. But we can all change your thoughts, and it's kind of like the flip of a switch. And when you get used to it, it's something you have to keep on practicing over and over. And when you get used to it, it becomes easier and easier. So there's a thing called neuroplasticity, which is our brain. Our brain is like a plastic mold that we can change and mold ourselves. So up to like 10, 15 years ago, you know, if somebody had a stroke, they'd be given 6 weeks rehab time frame, because they thought then that, you know, if you don't get to a stage where you're going to improve within that time frame, that was kind of no hope. Where it shows now, know that the brain is plastic, it's molded. We control it. We control how we think. So if you're having a bad thought, just flip it to 3 positive thoughts, then 4 and 5. 3 to change it, and 5 to thrive.
Okay, thanks for that. That's actually, I did some work before with Dr. Maureen Gaffney, who wrote a book called Flourishing, and that was a big part of it, and the gratitude. So that's interesting to hear, that, you know, it's something that you've experienced of, and you've experienced with your clients, and you've experienced it yourself. So yeah, that's very positive. So I suppose to sum up, Irene, your top tips would be around setting goals, understanding where the lack of balance is, so figuring out where in the wheel is making us hop a bit, and then having gratitude and being mindful about that gratitude and being mindful about our thoughts. Would that be fair to say?
Absolutely. And I also think your spirituality is very important. Whatever religion it is, doesn't matter how specific, but that you believe in something, because it's not just our body, there's something else afterwards. So have a look at what connects with you. Affirmations are really important. You know, you can tell your brain how you feel it, you know, so just even, yes, I can, just yes, I can, yes, I can, something easy like that. Get out into nature. Nature is such a great way of bringing us back into the now. And exercise, just go for a walk, just keep moving forward, get out of bed, keep moving forward, and eating well is very important as well.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that, Irene. I really appreciate it. And it's great to have these insights. And I'm thrilled as well that I'm actually doing Smovies with you again at the moment. And I can definitely attest that they are a better start to the day than what I had been doing.
Yes, the vibrations going through and the movement, just move, you know, just out of bed, do some circular movements, do some breathing exercise, actually breathing exercises, especially if you're feeling anxious. I will give you a TED talk from a breathing TED talk. If you put that up as well, I think it's fantastic. And there's some great breathing exercise to take us from a fight or flight to a rest and digest. So I'll give you those as well, Mags.
Thank you very much, and I'll share them with this. Thanks, Irene.